welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Turn the Page, Syosset Public Library's podcast. And today we have with us Mazey Eddings. Mazey is a neurodiverse author, dentist, and most importantly, stage mom to her cats, Yaya and Zadie. She can most often be found reading romance novels under her weighted blanket and asking her boyfriend to bring her snacks. She's made it her personal mission in life to destigmatize mental health issues and write love stories for every brain. With roots in Ohio and Pennsylvania, she now calls North Carolina home. Thank you, Mazey, for joining us. We're so excited to be talking to you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. Yep, to chat.
So we're going to talk to her today about her sophomore novel called Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake, which comes out on September 6th. And it got a starred review from Kirkus. So let me read that, which is not an easy thing to get. So congratulations.
Thank you. I live in perpetual fear of Kirkus. So
okay, reading about a neurodiverse heroine like Lizzie is refreshing. This is a funny, tumultuous novel that will inspire readers to think about how different kinds of brains shape our human need for love and sex. Kirkus Reviews, starred review. Congratulations. So why don't you tell us what Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake is about?
Oh, let's see. So it's pretty much at its core about two very chaotic people making very, very odd choices with each other. It is a romance about the titular character, Lizzie Blake. She has pretty untreated or unmanaged ADHD, and a lot of her life has been just hopping from one job to another, a lot of issues with time management, with, taking care of herself and all of that. And she, the book starts off with her losing yet another job. And her one cardinal rule and the one thing that she has in order is her sex life. And it's almost like her form of self-care. And she tries to avoid emotions and feelings and just really enjoys one night stands and hookups. But she breaks her cardinal rule of just one night when she meets Rake, a steamy, starchy Australian visiting Philadelphia on business, and the two have a two-night stand that end up with pretty big consequences when Lizzie finds out that she's pregnant. And so they decide to platonically, and I put that in quotes because that lasts for about 10 pages, co-parent and cohabitate, and try to avoid having any feelings involved, and that unravels pretty quickly. But the story is about two very different people just very much learning to love each other and love themselves, and it kind of celebrates neurodiverse brains and just how much they deserve to be loved. And I probably should add that Lizzie gets involved in just all kinds of hijinks, like an underground erotic baking scheme. She's she's kind of a mess, and she rolls with it. And yeah, it was very fun to write.
No, it's really, it's wonderful. It's such a great story, great love story, great romance, rom-com. I thought it was fabulous. I loved it. It was just so enjoyable. Lizzie is a great character. So is Rake. They're both great characters. Now, there's the first book. This is your second book. So your first book, A Brush with Love, is about a dentist, correct?
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, you just graduated from dental school. So congratulations on that. How do you find the time to do both, to be an author and a brand new dentist? How are you finding time for that?
Sometimes I look back on it and I'm not really sure. I'm like, what? When am I guess I just don't sleep a lot. I graduated in May, and so now I'm working full-time as a dentist and an author and doing both and loving both. But yeah, I think during dental school I really needed an outlet and a release, and these characters popped into my head, and they were so loud and so voicey, because I've always been a huge reader of romance, and I dabbled with writing, but a story never really stuck with me. And then during school, I couldn't stop writing. I think in a lot of ways it was my way to cope and like a form of escapism, and then it just became this wildly fulfilling thing that I've had a lot of luck being able to do and pursue further. And yeah, I mean, I I definitely don't sleep very much, and my weekends and nights are pretty much dedicated to writing, but it really is true that like when you love what you do, it's so worth it to do that. So yeah, I wish I could say I have some secret recipe for balance, but I definitely don't.
And I mean, I don't know how someone has a full-time job, especially as demanding as yours is, and also finds the time to write. When do you find the time to write?
Mainly, so it's funny because publishing is so slow in a lot of ways. So like, this book I wrote in gosh, it was probably like the summer of 2020. So this is very much like my early pandemic book that I wrote. And so, and now it's 2022 and it's coming out and everything. And so, to be honest, in a lot of ways, like those first 2 years of dental school, when I did a lot of writing of the first two books, because of my ADHD, like I have auditory processing issues. So like I would be sitting in lectures and I just couldn't get anything from it until I could go home and watch the recorded versions with captions and stuff like that. So, I mean, to be honest, I was writing during lectures, which is so terrible. I promise I like passed all my classes and stuff. Um, but then, I'm very lucky. I have a partner that has been supportive every step of the way about like letting me just dive into these fictional worlds and spend my nights working on them or my weekends. And I'm not a great sleeper. I have insomnia a lot of the time. And so there's a lot of like 2 or 3 AM writing sessions too. Yeah, and I guess I just, when an idea or something comes to me, I kind of pause what I'm doing and just write it as far as it will go and then worry about fitting it back into the story later on. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is Lizzie Blake you in any way?
No, well, I don't know. I guess like the ADHD representation, I wrote from my personal experience
Uh-huh.
with it. And so like, like the physical manifestations of like rejection sensitivity dysphoria and things like that are very much, from my viewpoint, because it is a very nuanced a nuanced condition to live with and stuff. So I just wrote from my viewpoint. But no, I think Lizzie is somebody that I admire though. My characters feel very separate from me, but they're people that I care about so deeply. And so yeah, she's just she's kind of a ball of fire. And I was very fascinated with her the entire time I was writing her.
Well, you seem to have a lot of energy also, though.
Oh yeah, I kind of have, I guess, a little bit of golden retriever energy.
Yeah. And Rake, where did he come from? He
Oh
sounded
God.
perfect,
I know.
huh?
God, is he though? I you know, I think I looked at it and like so with writing these books, Harper, Lizzie, Indira, and Two are this friend group that kind of came first, more than anything. And they were all very distinct, and those are the characters throughout the series, but they were all very distinct, and they all were very like I said, very loud and vocal about who they are and what they want out of life or what they expect and stuff like that. And so in so many ways, their love interests kind of throw a wrench into plans or whatever they thought life would look like. And so Rake is so much, a seemingly opposite to what Lizzie is. But in a lot of ways, I actually feel like they have so many similarities. They're both very emotional people. They are both very loyal people and stuff. Yeah, so he's quiet and he's reserved for where she is loud and uninhibited. And yeah, it just kind of worked for them.
Yeah. I just want to say one other thing. Publishers Weekly, one thing they said is this smart love story is a gem. So that's another wonderful review that you got on this book.
Yeah, I've been pinching myself a little bit on it because yeah, I like I said, I live in a lot of fear about trade reviews, and so receiving those was especially for a love story where I felt very like honored and excited at the opportunity to write about an ADHD woman, embracing her brain and being loved fully, and to know that that was well received
Yeah,
by
very
both
well
of us.
received.
Yeah,
Her mother, her mother was some character too, huh?
oh God, yeah, she's
The
kind of
way
the
she
worst.
grew up and her whole growing up was, oh my God, you felt so bad for her.
Yeah. I think a lot of there's so much out there in regards to both autism, ADHD, and neurodiversity in general. A lot of like the help books, like, or whatever, are written by neurotypical people, um, almost in a way that puts like burden or onus on the person that has ADHD or autism and tells them why they're a burden or a nuisance. And I do think that it's actually a fairly common thing, for people with the conditions to experience something like that from somebody close to them. And so, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, she was awful, and I hated her the entire time. And I was really proud of Lizzie when she broke off that toxic relationship.
Yeah, no, it was toxic. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. That was very toxic. Her mother was horrible.
Yeah,
She was. I guess you
really was.
wanted us to think that, so it worked.
Yeah.
It definitely worked. So this is the second in a series. So how many more are you writing in a series?
There's one more that comes out, and it's called The Plus One, and it's Indira's story, and it comes out on April 4th of
Oh,
next
wow.
year.
Wow,
Yeah,
not that far. And
no,
so
I
you
know.
wrote 3 books pretty quickly.
I did. I've actually written four, because I have a YA coming out next August
Oh my
too.
gosh.
Yeah, so it has really been a whirlwind, and I do feel like I'm in a spot where I've been given an opportunity, and I'm taking it as far as I can go with it, and I feel extremely lucky and fortunate and privileged to be able to do this. So yeah, yeah, I'm just super excited.
Did you always want to be an author?
Oh, I never thought I could do it. It was like, it was so far out of the realm of possibilities. It was like, I just, to me, like, I grew up reading books, like that. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up or things like that. And so, and a lot of the times the world is like a really, overstimulating or uncomfortable place sometimes. And so reading was just this way to live thousands of different lives in a very comfortable place. And so to me, writers were like gods. And it was just like,
Mhm.
it was just the most ultimate thing you could do to tell a story and transport somebody somewhere else. And so I don't know, I still don't really like fully see myself like that in a lot of ways, because I'm just like, I think books are the most amazing thing ever. And so I'm like, I can't believe I write them and get to write them. So yeah, it was almost a dream that I didn't even let myself conjure up.
Wow. Did you have trouble getting published, or was that pretty quick also?
I my A Brush with Love almost died on submission.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think there's and I don't want to downplay that I did have a lot of luck, and like, I didn't have it nearly as bad as I've heard some people, being in the query trenches forever and stuff like that. I was really lucky to find Kelly Martin. She was an agent at the time, and she's now switched to editorial, but from the jump, she understood what I was trying to tell, and the stories I was trying to tell. And so we hit it off, so I was querying for about like 4 or 5 months, I think, when she picked me up. And then I went on submission with publishers in it was February 14th, 2020. So it was like 2 weeks before the world shut down.
right.
Yeah, and so then I was on sub at that time, and it was like so stressful. I was checking my email like every 5 minutes. And it was just rejection after rejection. And I will say, like, almost all of the editors that did reject it were incredibly kind about it, and offered really great feedback. A lot of the problem was people don't want to hear stories about dentists. Like, everybody hates the dentist. And it's like, it's a real thing, and so I get that. And then my current editor had initially actually passed on it, and then she came back and she's like, I can't stop thinking about the voice. Would you be interested in a revise and resubmit? And this was around like May of 2020, and so I rewrote the last third of that first book and then changed a bunch of the front, and we submitted it. And then I heard mid-July that she was picking it up on a 2-book deal.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, that was just like, I remember that day. It was actually the first day I was going back to the dental clinic too. And so I was so nervous because I was like, COVID and everything was so scary. And then I get this call from my agent, and then I'm crying, but I have to go see a patient. And so it was just like so wild. Um, but yeah, and at that point I had already like binge wrote Lizzie's book, so I turned it in about a month later. And my poor editor, she was like, I turned it in, she's like, what is this even about? And I was like, oh, like an erotic baker, blah blah blah. But I think I think I think she and my pub team also really fell in love with Lizzie, because I've had an opportunity to write more books with them since submitting that one. So you know Lizzie, I feel like, wins people over.
Yeah, no, she's great. She really is great. So what do you like to read? And do you have any spare time? I don't know how you do, but
I know. I generally read romance. I think there's something so beautiful about seeing people fall in love and like experience, these emotional journeys in so many different ways. And so yeah, I'm always devouring romance. I will read anything Talia Hibbert writes. Chloe Lisa's amazing. She's self-pubbed up until this point, and then she has her first traditionally pub book called Two Wrongs Make a Right, coming out with Berkeley in November. She also got a Star Kirkus review. Got to shout her
wow,
out.
I have to
Uh,
write that down. Who is that?
yeah.
Too long.
Chloe Lisa, Two Wrongs Make a Right. Yeah, I mean, she is a phenomenal author, and I think that she has some of like the most authentic rep in her books too. And then I love historical romance as well. Beverly Jenkins, Lisa Kleypas, Tessa Dare are all just like heroes of mine. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of rereading lately and just like going back to comfort reads, because I don't feel like I have time to like fully invest in a new story.
Mm-mm.
I'm drafting on a deadline right now and I'm very behind. So
Oh, wow. What book is that you're so behind on? The YA
um
book?
no, I finished the YA
Oh
one.
my gosh.
Yeah, so that one's called Tilly and Technicolor, and that comes out sometime in next August. I don't even know. Oh God, I should know that. But oops. No, I'm writing a sapphic rom-com that we're in the middle of changing the title, so I can't say it yet. But yeah, it's about two women who end up by like a really bizarre circumstances both fighting over ownership of this flower farm. And then there's just a lot of enemies situation, and again it's very much an opposites attract story. And I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I'm just like, there's been a lot of transitions in life, so I'm like, I am running really behind.
Wow. I don't know how you have the time to do it, but amazing.
Oh,
That's really fabulous. Good for you.
thank
Good for
you.
you. And do they all take place in Philadelphia or?
The first three do. And actually this newest one takes place, or the one I'm working on right now, the rom-com separate from the first three, it takes place in Asheville. So I feel like I get very inspired by the places I live, and there's I also just feel like I live in really cool places, so I'm never short of like inspiration and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been really, really researching farming in like the Western North Carolina region and stuff. So it's been pretty cool to kind of dig into that a little bit.
Yeah. Do your patients know that you're a published author?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I just I'm there for them. So I tend not to talk about myself too much, and I prefer getting to know them instead of the other way around. But yeah, and a lot of times when you're seeing a dentist, it's usually because you're in pain of some sort. And so the last thing they want to hear is about my silly my silly gals being wild.
You don't have a stack in the waiting room?
No, I don't. I probably should. That'd be a
Yeah.
smart
Stack of
marketing
signed
tactic.
books. People love signed books.
That's true. People do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love signed books.
So I guess you're not going to be able to go on tour for this book.
I am doing a mini one.
Oh, okay, good.
Or not even mini. Yeah, they're my team's sending me kind of all over this southern region. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, my release day on September 6th, I'll be in Greenville, South Carolina. And then I have an event in Raleigh, and then another one at Malaprops in Asheville, and then some virtual events, which I'm excited about. And then at the end of the month, I'm going to the Rip Bodice in LA, which I'm
Oh,
really excited for. But I'm celebrating Susan Lee. She's a YA author. Her debut Soulmates,
oh,
SEO.
I saw that. Yes, today I
Oh,
saw that. It's a
it is
good book.
it is amazing. And
Okay.
so I she asked me to be in conversation with her, and I was like, I'm just gonna be screaming the whole time because it's such a great book. But I'm really, really excited for that too. So yeah, I get to do some really, really fun stuff coming up, and I'm really excited about
That
it.
is great. Oh, I'm glad. I've just assumed you're new at your job. How could you get time off already? Wow.
Yeah, I kind of, well, the thing about being a dentist is if you're not there working that day, you just don't get paid. And so, I kind of I've kind of taken I'm so excited and kind of gripping the excitement with both hands here. And so I was like, you know what? You only release your second book once, so
Right.
I'm gonna go for it.
Well, good luck. I hope you enjoyed that, especially out in LA. That's fabulous.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the store. I mean, it's just like such a beacon for romance books, so it'll be really
Yeah.
cool.
Where in
Yeah.
LA is the store?
It the Rip Bodice is in what's that one area that starts with a C? Is it um I should know this. Not Colton. I can look it up really quick. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Um it's let me see. Um it's in Culver City. There we go. I
Oh,
couldn't think.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Very nice. So enjoy. I hope you get to stay a few days. I hope you're not just flying in and flying out.
it's gonna be a quick trip. I think it's a Friday to Sunday.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Okay. You'll have a
I'll get a
few
little
days to
time. Yeah.
enjoy LA a little bit. That's
Yeah.
nice. Good for you. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on all your success. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. That means the world to me. And yeah, I feel very fortunate.
Okay. And for our listeners, the book will be available here when it comes out September 6th in print, and it'll also be available on Overdrive, so you can download it there. I see it's coming out in an audiobook, but you said you're
Mhm.
not really an audio is not your thing, or can you listen to audiobooks?
Oh no, I love so yeah, that's the thing. As long as I'm able to do a second task, I can definitely listen to audiobooks.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I like to listen to audiobooks while I run.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, I do really enjoy audiobooks. And I this is such a silly story, but when they sent me like the tapes or the auditions for this audiobook, they sent me like such a steamy scene too. And I was screaming my head off. I was like, I can't listen to this. Like, who wrote this? It couldn't have been me. And then and so yeah, I don't listen to my own audiobooks, not fully, because I just get secondhand embarrassment being like, I can't believe I wrote this. But yeah, so the audiobook, I think, the team at St. Martin's does such a great job producing them and everything. So I'm really excited about it.
You remember who the narrator is?
It is I'm sorry, let me
That's
think real
okay.
quick. Yeah, I feel bad because they did such a good job. Hold on, let me see. Um,
Yeah, I have the arc in the book, but I didn't have an arc in the audio, so I couldn't listen. But
yeah,
I do love my audiobooks.
and the guy that narrates Rake does such a good
Oh, it's
job
two
too,
different
though.
people. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I
I
was
love when it's that. That's good.
me too. That's one of my favorite things. Why can't I find this? Oh, Summer Morton is Lizzie, and then
Okay.
Will Peters is Rake.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take a listen as soon as it
Yeah,
comes out so I
yeah.
can hear that. That's great. Oh, I'm glad. So I want to thank you so much for taking your time with us. I know how busy you are.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been
Yeah.
so nice talking with you.
And I look forward to the third book also, and your
Thank
fourth book, and your YA book. And
you.
wow, good for you. Keep on writing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's the plan.
Okay, it's great. Thanks. Okay, so I'm just going to close this chapter of Turn the Page. I'm Evelyn Hershkowitz, Reader Services Librarian, and we're here with Mazey Eddings for her sophomore novel, Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake. Thank you so much. It's wonderful talking to you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Have
it was
a
wonderful.
have a great night.
Soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.